So Seeds of Renewal is coming, everyone, to World of Warcraft, and the most important thing out of all of these things that are coming with patch 10.2.5 is follower dungeons. And shout out to Maduros for dropping this into the Discord and making me aware that this was coming in the pipeline. I'm just now getting into Warcraft and I'm really enjoying the experience. We've got our guild forming up on the Moonguard server. We're getting ready to get into the Dragonflight expansion and prepping for the World Soul Saga. And I'm just really getting my feet wet for the first time with retail World of Warcraft, and then they announced this, which is pretty freaking amazing. So traditionally, if you want to do a dungeon in World of Warcraft, you have to have 5 people in total, so you need 4 other people. And the matchmaking system works great. It's one of the things I've been praising recently. Really getting into World of Warcraft retail is that, I've seen this work very well in like Star Wars: Old Republic, where the matchmaker it scales everyone and it gets you into groups immediately, so that you don't have to wait around. I think the longest I've had to wait is about 10 minutes, and that was for a Battle for Azeroth dungeon because I've been going through storyline there to level up to the Dragonflight expansion, and I've really loved it. Now, the addition of followers means that you're now going to be able to have NPCs to fill the slots of any group members that you might not have, or, and this is the key here, if you just want to play it solo and take your time and explore, in their words, explore different classes and figure out how to make things work and try things at your own pace. You'll be able to do so now with the followers without worrying about a bunch of people who are just trying to rush through their dailies. This has been my number one complaint, because we're just getting going now and we're still getting the guild form and everything else. As I've been leveling up, I've done a few of the dungeons by myself because I'm just doing storyline, and it's been great to go do the story and everything else. But my number one complaint is that as a new player, no one gives a shit about me and my desire to take it slow, explore every corner of the dungeon, see the story unfold, and everything else. Because I'm grouped up with a bunch of randos, and they're on a mission to get their daily done. So they're just there to wham, get this thing done in 10 minutes or less. And so I'm trying to read quest dialogue and listen to what the NPCs are having to say, and these guys are just like they're around the corner killing 20 mobs, and I'm still stuck back at the entrance. It's great when you go do it with guild members, because then, like last night, we did a full group with our guild, with our friends, and we were able to do. I did 3 dungeons last night and did them at a very different pace. Instead of them being 10-minute runs, they were 45-minute runs, like 30 to 45 minutes, because we were taking our time, clearing rooms, pulling out, slowing it down. And I really love the idea of what they've got going on here with the follower dungeons. So we're going to hop over to Game Radar. I'm going to turn this on to dark mode real quick because they've got some, or GameSpot, excuse me. It says, as Blizzard notes, follower mode is intended to let players learn dungeons or new roles at their own pace. Ever wanted to try to learn tanking but didn't want to be exposed to the pressure from other players who expect you to know exactly what to do or how to do a mechanic? Follower dungeons remove toxic players from the equation so that the players trying to learn the dungeon or the class can do so in a stress-free environment. It's a feature that sounds similar to the upcoming bite-sized delves that are coming with World of Warcraft's 2024 expansion, The War Within, which the delves were honestly the number one reason that got my brother interested, because we're like, hey, we can play with our nephew. He's 9 years old. We're not going to have to deal with those crazy people who come into your group, or we can run it with friends. It says here, follower dungeons are coming in Seeds of Renewal. It's not all that's coming, of course. There's lots of other stuff. It says here, the way this is working, dungeons typically require a 4-person group with 1 tank, 1 healer, and 3 DPS. The follower dungeons are going to allow players to put NPCs into the roles usually reserved for other players in the dungeon party. This is going to work with all 8 of Dragonflight's normal difficulty dungeons, with a difficulty that will scale depending on the number of human players in the party. This also reminds me, if you go back to Guild Wars 1, I think, did this very well. It wasn't for dungeons per se, but you could have really stupid AI in your party, or you could have other players in your party. And I think when Maduros and I played, or was it Gila? No, it was Gila and I when we played Alien Fire Team, Fire Strike, whatever that game is called. You could have players or really stupid AI in your party, but they get the job done as long as you take your time and slow it down a little bit. So the idea of having NPCs in your party that are going to allow you to I like the idea of learning a dungeon Or more importantly, if I'm doing things on story mode and it's the first time that I've done the dungeon, I do not want to rush. And if I'm on at 5:30 in the morning streaming, and the bulk of the guild doesn't play until the evening sessions, well, I love the idea of knowing that I can now get a group of NPCs to go into a dungeon with me and do it slow at my own pace so that I'm seeing the story and experiencing the story for the first time because I'm not a World of Warcraft veteran. I've not played the game since it launched. I don't have a ton of max level characters. I've not run these dungeons before. And so for me, going in and doing things for the first time at my own pace with NPC followers is a brilliant, brilliant way to do things. So I'm a huge supporter of this. Um, Also, dragon riding is going to be introduced to the whole world. Over here at Wowhead, they've got a breakdown here. Dragon riding is going to be worldwide. The speed is going to be set to 80%. The developers say that we're trying to find a balance between giving players exciting and engaging traversal while still preserving a sense of immersion. Dragon Isles continent is pretty massive compared to some of the older continents. We need to adjust speed accordingly. There's also going to be this Reclaiming Gilneas quest series with King Greymane, which is pretty awesome. There's no date announced for this, um, but it's going to be available on the public test realm later this week, celebrating its 20th anniversary next year. So I don't know when this would mean. Might be later this year, early next year, but it's something to look forward to for players like me who are new to the game and are getting into things for the first time. It says there's also going to be a new event called Azarathian. I'm going to have to pronounce that right. Azerothian Archives, which has seen players dig into the history of the Dragon Isles to earn rewards. There's going to be new customization options for trolls, Draenei, and Warlock demons. And Worgen players are going to get a new quest line because of the Gilneas thing. It says that kingdom was lost during the events of 2010's Cataclysm expansion. Night Elves are finally getting a new home in the form of Amerdrasil in the latest Guardians of the Dream update. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. Which is really cool. It says, makes sense that Blizzard would want to give the Worgen, who've been living as refugees for years, some closure. So all in all, very cool update coming down the pipeline. Like I said, I'm really excited for this. As someone who's just now getting into the game, and I'm going to be starting Dragonflight probably within the next week or two. Obviously, we have no timeline when this is coming in the pipeline, so I'll be running dungeons with friends and guildies. But I can also imagine when I'm going to be playing this with my brother and my nephew, that this is going to be something that we're going to be able to enjoy because we'll be able to go and do these story dungeons at our own pace with NPC followers. And when I decide to come back and try alts down the line, I'll be able to do this at my own pace with the followers as well. So really cool update. I'm a big fan of follower dungeons. I like the concept behind it. We've seen it done very well in other games. Star Wars: The Old Republic does this where they give you the robot, which basically essentially acts as a tank and a healer. And so it allows you to do the dungeons in story mode if you want to take your time and do it in story mode, or you can choose to queue up with other players and do it with other players. And then they have the multiple tiers of difficulty. This is essentially the same thing in that you're going to be able to do the normal version of the dungeon with the followers, but then if you want to do heroic or mythic plus, you'll need to find other players to do it, which I think is a great scaling ability. And in my mind, this just makes the game more open to everybody. So big fan of this. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. If you want to join us in World of Warcraft, we're just getting going. We are prepping for the World Soul Saga. I'm just getting going for the first time really in World of Warcraft, even though I have dabbled in the past. More information in our Discord and on the channel in the World of Warcraft playlists. Hopefully, we'll see you in the next live stream. Until then, everybody, stay safe. Happy gaming.